All right, hello, hello. Um, so I been watching this great series on this project from a teacher, and I really liked where it was going. They were using U to create kind of a tool to archive a list of repos. Um, and it was kind of like a newer like a project to learn U, and I thought that was really cool, and I liked where it was going. And then I think it kind of got dropped off. There wasn't like enough time, or we kind of switched focus to something else. Maybe got blocked by a couple things, and I thought it might be kind of interesting or informative to kind of go through and refactor and change things to kind of how I would structure it in sort of an informative context to try to um because there was a few things with like state management. There were a few questions raised, and it wasn't quite clear what the solution was. So I thought I have some experience with this. I might be able to provide some more insight into how to structure an app like this, and that could be neat, and it could be a little fun exercise for me as well because I haven't had a lot of time to work on front end Rust in a while, and this is a good opportunity to kind of flex those muscles. So let's go to my projects file, and then let's go. So this is the repo. Nick McPhee is the author. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got Twitch channel. I think the Twitch channel is active. The YouTube channel has not been active for about a year. Um, this is his work. Awesome to see. So let's just try to get this running real fast and see where it's at. So I'm just going to clone the repository. That's not what I want. Yep, just like that. There you go. And then go into the ice-repos. One fetch real fast. Very cool. Created 2 years ago. All in Rust. Last updated about a year ago. And yeah, lots of cool stuff. So if I just try trunk serve, is it going to work? I don't know. We'll see. Looks like we do have some hooks um, set up. Okay. And now we are building. Cool. Who are we hosting this? Maybe it's default localhost. Think 8080. Well, doesn't look like we see anything here. Does it tell us? I don't see any errors. I don't see any errors. How about, so if 8080, do we get anything here? Nothing. How about 3000? So 8080 connected to something. Interesting. Okay. Let's check we go to main, okay, so if we go to / ice-repos, log in. Okay, so we're here. This is the app. We're in an app. Where do we need to log in? So let's look at this. Oh, that's one thing we're gonna be doing. Cargo format all. Oops. Yeah, there's a lot of auto formatting things that will happen when I just touch it with my editor, so let's just do that now. Let's just call this what are we gonna call this? Okay, let's call it Yewdux vector. Commit, we'll say format with okay, so that'll fix all that. So now we have everything formatted, and I won't have a bunch of just random changes happen whenever I save the file. Okay, in our main, where's our main? Our starting point app. So this is our entry point we have in the app. Ooh, OAuth. Okay, let's disable OAuth for a second. We'll just make this an empty fragment here, and then maybe we can refresh. What's the problem? Build should be fine. So we have this OAuth thing, and this is kind of the root. Where is this OAuth thing coming from? So U OAuth 2. So this is a U crate. Let's look at that crate. OAuth 2. It's a pretty up-to-date crate. So this is the root component we're using. And then we have these kind of like child components in the app that we use. Okay. So I see. Okay, so let's go ahead and just comment out all this. And let's go ahead and take just take this bit here, and I just want to see what's in that. We don't really need to authenticate now. I believe the authentication happens when we want to actually send the request to archive the repos. But for now, I don't really care about that. I just want to, okay, this is what I'm looking for. I just want to see the app for now. Okay, here it is. And then if we go, let's see, let me look at what it is. UM-SI-3601 S22. If I submit, loading, we have console. Okay, we get an error. Some CERT error. So this request no longer works. It's causing some problems. I want to save this somewhere. We're just gonna go. Let's just save it here. Thank you. Okay. So this request is no longer working. but that's fine. Okay. Um, so let's just go over the code. We have it running. There's some things that are broken, like the request, and then we can like actually look at what changes we might want to make, and what's working, what's not. So we have this about, looks like it's being unused, the mod for the folder, and we have our other components. So organization entry. So this is the so this is the entry field. So this component looks like it's this right here, which is cool. So we take field contents. So that's the local state, the local entry. We grab the organization store, and then we on input we set the local state, and then on click we will take the local state and set it to the organization. This is get value from input, event, seems good. Okay. And while we're here, let's go to cargo, and I want to use the latest U in Yewdux version. So for Yewdux, it's going to be 0.10. For U, it's going to be 21. Like that. And let's check, make sure everything's still working. It probably is not. It's going to break a lot of things. So let's fix those compile errors first. So in repository paginator, let's see what we have. Use history. To use history. We just do it here. Oops, here. Okay, use effect with depths. Not sure what that one is, but let's move on. This one, that should be fine. Okay, use effect with, I'm not sure why that's, I think this should just be use effect with. I think the dependencies just go up here. I think that's what changed here. The trait hook is not implemented for option. Now I'm not sure why that's happening. U router, use history. Let's go to the U page and look at their router and see what's how to use it, because it might have changed. Router. Is it now use navigator? Use nav. Oh, one thing I need to do is reload my Vim because I updated the dependencies, so I think we're still on old dependencies. Paginator. And then use navigator. It's not picking it up. We're not picking that up. Oh, U router. What's the version for Yewdux? That should be 18. 18. That's probably what the problem was. We were using the wrong version of Yewdux. Paginator. .238. We have use effect width. Same thing. We move the dependencies up here. Should be fine. State map. I think this is just going to be default. But there's some other things we need to fix as well. And then, okay, so now in the use history, or use navigator, I think we need to unwrap that. And push takes a reference. And then reduce mute. That should still work. So if we go to welcome, we just need to import HTML. We go to review and submit. HTML. And about. HTML, okay, and then main, I know the entry point changed as well. So render, how do I do this? You render, I know it's something like that. Get rid of that. What's the entry point? Examples, build a simple app, entry point. There we go. Let's do this. Don't need that. Oh, and then for now that we're in the newer view, we need to enable the CSR feature. So it's a new version. And features is equal to CSR, client side rendering CSR, because we want to use the client side. We don't care about server side rendering. Okay, sweet. And main, what we have. How do we do that? Can I? Yep, dark mode, please. Thank you. How do we do this? Route, switch. Route, render is equal to switch. What's switch? Switch is this. Root route, render is equal to switch. Where is render is equal to, what's this root route thing here? Root route. Okay, so now we should just be able to delete that and it should be fine. Switch. What's going on here? 39. Okay, so what's this? Takes, it should take, oh, okay, so this needs to take not a reference. And this also needs to not take a reference here as well. Yeah. I think, can this implement copy? And this can also implement copy as well. Because they aren't containing anything. It's completely fine. Okay, that fixed. And we're fixed. Sweet. So everything is working. We're compiling. Let's clean up. So in repository paginator, have a warning here. We're not using the store, and in main, oh, the login stuff isn't used yet. So, this is the app. That and that. So we just want the main app right now. We're not going to want anything else. And move that. So we're not using it. Okay. What do? We updated U and Yewdux to latest versions. Now back to reviewing the components. Okay. So one thing I see here, this can be slightly refactored and slightly optimized. So let's do that now while we're here. So in organization entry, one thing we can do is so organization, we go here. It's it's an option of a string. One way to optimize this, I'm just reading the to-dos here. It says, I think we can ultimately get rid of the struct. It's not needed in the paginator anymore, and we may not need it in the organization entry component. So this is holding the state of the current organization. And the entire state of the app depends on the state of the entire organization. So we could couple this with kind of our application state. So when this changes, we know we need to change the other stuff as well. Or we could do something where, like, every time we update it, we also like execute a request as well. So I think that's what we're gonna do, because keeping this separate is fine. I'm going to go ahead and rename this to, actually, no, this is fine. Organization name. What we can do here is make this an RC stir. This is going to optimize the size of the pointer and also make it easily clonable, so it's really cheap to clone. And that'll be nice. And we can remove this bit to that note here to optimize it, because that is now optimized. And back here, when we set it, on click. Okay, so we actually have a method for this that is use dispatch. If we just want the dispatch, we can use the use dispatch hook, and then we can do let on click is equal to, it's going to be dispatch dot reduce we're going to do set callback with the Uh, where are the field contents? Yeah. I see. Set callback, and then we don't care about the event. We're just going to something like this, and then the name is going to be something like this. Let's do up here, and then let field contents like that, and then move then field contents dot is empty. So if they're not empty, then we will set it. I'm fairly sure there is something called set callback. Okay. So we have an option string in here. And let's make that can we do something like this? RC. So this creates an RC. Why is it not known? Does this need to be a string? I feel like this could, I could say a string, and this can just be field contents dot into, I believe. And this replaces that. And okay, and the repository paginator, we're actually going to remove the props here because we'll get into that later. But basically, I believe the reason the props were used instead of global state was when the organization name changed, we needed to basically reset the entire state of the paginator here. So this is getting into the weeds of it here. So before we continue, actually, because I think this part will actually touch a lot of the other code. So we set the entry here, and the main change we did in the organization entry was just to use a slightly different method, and wonder why it can't resolve the set callback here. I'm not sure why it can't. It's a little weird to me that it can't find this set callback, even though it exists. And when we check, it doesn't throw any errors. But another thing we can do here is to make this a form. So we can do on submit, which makes it so if we press the enter button in the field, it'll also do it. So maybe use a form so we can also submit on enter instead of having to click submit. Okay, that works. So let's look at the other parts of this code base. I think the repository card is pretty self-explanatory. We take this repository, has some other state. So what is this? This inventory should be archived. If it's some variant, then enclosed Boolean should indicate the desired state for this repository. Okay, so this hands in the entire repository instead of just the ID of the repository, which is fine. This could be an RC. Nothing wrong with an RC. Okay, so the repository card takes the repository and displays it. And it has some callback to change it. So on checkbox change, there you go. It changes the repository. And this is fine. This is a completely fine way of doing it. I am going to change it though, because I do want to show how you would use Yewdux for this. So this is a perfect way of doing something simple like this, where we just need to propagate one change up from one component, and it's not too big a deal. You don't really need state management for this. You can use the tools that you gives you by yourself. But we are going to update it for fun, for the challenge, and to kind of show how, or show how to do it if you were to use Yewdux for all of your state management. So we have a repository list here. Seems fine. It's just a list of repository cards. The paginator is like the bulk of the work. The kind of the meat of the app, I'd say. And yeah, this is going to take a while to go over for sure. Then review and submit, that seems fine. So what are these services here? Main. What are these services? Oh, okay. So this is still in source. So services are archive repo. Okay. So this looks like what the requests are going to be. That's the main page repo map. So this is some state, looks like. And a repository. Okay, so this is kind of like the state management part of it. We have a repository, has a bunch of fields, desired archive state, organization, desired state, already archived, keep, archive, kept in review, desired state, okay. Okay, so this is as good a place as I need to start. And I like to kind of solve the state management problem before we even get to kind of the components. So let's open this file in our editor. This is the repository folder or file. So we have the repository name, description, and these can be also RC stirs. You basically can use RC stir wherever the value is not going to change. So if the value is not going to change, you can use it. Okay. And when we download these repositories, we want to store them so they can be displayed for the user. So I'm going to, without looking much into the other types available here, I'm going to just define I'm just going to define a new type, and it's going to be, yeah, it looks like It's going to be a B tree map of the repository ID and the repository. And let's go ahead and derive some useful traits. Now, in the repository state, we need to track if we are planning to whether or not we're planning to archive this repo. So one thing we could do here is just add a flag and say archive state, and like have that be the flag for tracking. And I think that's what this is. It attaches an ID and an archive state. And that's pretty good. But I think if we keep it on the type itself, it would be a lot easier to track, and so we don't have to keep like passing around these IDs. Because the more we pass around IDs, the more chance we have of like accidentally trying to access stale data or that kind of thing. So we can probably remove this. This is the organization name. That looks right. And this can be already archived, keep, archive, kept in review. So let's call this archive state, and this will be archive state here. And yeah, so we'll track it here. We could like have like a helper type and wrap this whole thing in that helper type, and that helper type would have this field. But I think we're like, this is simple enough to where keeping it inside the repository struct is completely fine, and we don't really need to worry about that. Actually, I take that back. Maybe not. No. Let's keep it. Let's keep it. One thing, if this was hard, like a lot to clone, like if it was expensive to clone, we could wrap this in like an RC here, and then we would need like a helper struct to easily mutate this archive state field, perhaps something like that. But looking at these fields, they are all easy to copy. They're cheap to copy, and so I don't think that optimization is quite necessary right now. We can leave it as it is and just keep that here. So we have the repository, we have the repositories, and then we have the organization. So we should have two major pieces of state floating around in global space. So the name and the name of the types here. And now that I'm looking at it, this name here is very easy to clone. And keep in mind, every time we change state, we clone it once, and then that one clone is propagated to all the components. So it's important to keep in mind what fields you're going to keep in each state. And while two separate states in global like space are completely fine, we know that when we want to change the name, we also want to change this repository list. So it's important that these two pieces of state are actually tied together, which I think it would make sense if we just did this. So repositories should be equal to repositories, and this is no longer a store in itself. It is kind of held in this organization struct. So let's actually move this to the top because it's kind of the top level store. Um, and we can remove this optimization thing because we did it here. We optimized those strings for RC stir. And then yeah, we have these repository list here with all the active repositories. So I think that is all we need for this app. Looks like the already archived option is already added there. So some helper functions here. Desired state map. Let's see. Okay, I'm not sure we need any of this down here. I don't think we need this desired state map here. We have it already covered. So I'm going to do something a little crazy, and I'm just going to delete all of this because I don't think we need it. So now we have kind of a general idea of the structure of our app. We have an organization. Organization has a name and a collection of repositories. Those repositories have fields that are important to us that we use to display the repository and to track its current archive state. And that archive state is enumerated here. Okay. So this is going to break a lot of things. So actually, we can actually go back to the organization entry and update here. So it's no longer going to be set because we only want to change one field. So it's going to be reduce mute. And it's going to be a callback because we need it to happen when a button is pressed. So reduce mute callback, state, and then do state dot name. This is going to be organize. Let's just call it org. And here, it's good. So when it's clicked, we set the name of the org. And let's just make this a little Can we make this a little clearer? This is a little confusing. It's kind of a lot to take in. So I'm wondering if we can make this just a little easier to read. Let's do this. If contents is empty, then we return. Otherwise, we take this bit here, like that here, and we don't need this here. There. That is easier to read. So if the contents are empty, we return right away. Otherwise, we set the field. That is a lot better, in my opinion. And you have to clone it into. That makes sense. Okay. So now we have the name set. Looks good to me. So what else did we break? So now let's go to the repository paginator and let's look at what we need to fix here. Because now we have kind of our entire state changed. Repository paginator state, current page, last page. That looks good because we're kind of moving back and forth. Desired state map. We don't have a desired state map. So, okay. So here is where this use effect can be removed, I believe. So when let's do this. In our repository state, we know that when we change the name of the organization, we also want to change the repositories here. So when we set this name, we should actually be doing self-let repositories. We're resetting the repositories when we set the name here. So we actually don't want this to be public facing, because when it changes, we need to do some extra work. So we also need to add just a getter for that field as well. So we set the name and we reset the repositories to default. And another thing we can do here is maybe the request to. So it is also possible for us to send the request to get the new list of repositories here. That might make sense. It might not. There might be a better spot to do it. So I'm not positive that's where we want to do it yet. But we do know that we don't want to display the old repositories from the last organization name. So let's just keep that there. So now in the entry, we can no longer set the name like this. We need to call org dot set name. Oops. What did I do? And let's just do name is equal to, split this up into a separate statement, set name like that. So now we have a way to set the organization name and a way to couple the state of the repositories with that organization name, which is going to be really handy in the future. So now if we go to the paginator, we want to get the state of the organization. So let use let organization, let's just call it org and org dispatch. Use store, oops, org dispatch equal to use store. This is going to be the organization there. So now we have our organization here. So what is this doing? So it grabs this paginator state, map, organization, all that. And if the organization changes, we reset the paginator and we set the page map and the desired state map. Okay, so these two can go away, but it's going to be org. So if the org changes, yada yada, looks good. Why do I have so many errors, huh? It's weird. Okay, that looks right. Unsafe, that's fine. So in their paginator 286, so on checkbox change, which is passed into Okay, so this is probably one of the things I actually deleted here. And I believe we can just re-add it here. So repository. So what this is doing is it's taking the ID and updating state. Now here is one problem that I see is if the underlying map changes and this ID hasn't been updated yet, it's going to try to get a map that is not there, which is a problem. So let's just let's get rid of this. And in the repository list, I actually want to where is the repository list? Repository components repository list here. So instead of a callback, we can just give it archive state. We can give it the state selected state. We can give it the state we want it to set when we click the checkbox, and that should be fine. And then for maybe we do something else, we'll see. And then for the repo IDs, option back repo ID. I don't think this needs to be an option. It can just be an empty list. And empty list message, that seems fine. Let's remove these unused states. Now, we're also going to grab our organization here. This is going to be org. And we're probably going to also need the org dispatch as well. Okay. And then if repo IDs is empty, seems fine. Okay, and then so the repository card right there is also going to change. So we want the repo ID. We want desired archive state. State, this should be archive state. So this is going to be the state that the repo is set to when it's selected, and we don't need to do anything else there. We don't need this on change here. So we have the repo ID. So this is going to be repository. This is now just repo ID. This is selected state. This is going to be selected state. This should be repo ID. And then in the props, we have selected state here as well. And then we don't have this at all. And cool. Now we have the repository card done. So we've removed quite a bit, but should all come together. We can move this, I think. Looks good. So now we're in the repository card, and this is where it gets fun. So this is where we select the state. So on click, on click happens for the checkbox. So we have the checkbox. So we're gonna do this slightly differently. Okay, desired archive state is none. Repository is archived. Not sure this applies to the new changes we made, so I'm just gonna remove it. And here now we have repo ID, and we have selected state. You don't have an on change. And then, so when this clicks, when we have a click here, we want to change the organization state. So we need to get the org dispatch as equal to use store, and then here we have use store organization here. So now we have our organization and organization dispatch. We can get the repository, and here. So let's do repository dot. I think we can make this make it public, or we can implement a get real fast. So impl repositories. Sure, why not? That'll looks correct. These are just pass-throughs. Get mute, get insert. Yeah, yada yada yada. Okay. And then let's make a over here. Let's just make a new repos. This will be impl iterator items equal to repository. And self. There we go. Cool. And this should be into iterator, so we can have like collections there. This will be into iter. And what that does is it lets us go like repositories, new, and then we can have like a list here. Or we could have an iterator, or we could have a vector, anything that implements an iterator into a repository, we could pass into there. So it's just a little more flexible. So what next? Okay, we're in the repository card. And this is where we change the state from the checkbox. So this is what's toggled on each of the repository cards. And we can do that. I want this to be an option. It's fine. Okay. And actually, what we might do here, yeah, I think that's fine, actually. Pretty sure that should work. But yeah, they might have. So the reason we don't want to unwrap here is there might be some point while state is changing where one component isn't updated fast enough, and we try to get this ID, and the state isn't actually ready. Like the state has changed, but the internal state of this component has not changed yet. So it gets this repo ID from the repo of the last organization, from the state of the last organization instead of the new one, and this will cause a panic. So we actually want to keep this as an option here, and handle the case where it doesn't exist. So actually, if it doesn't exist, we don't want to display anything. So if it's if it does exist, we're just going to return it. And if it doesn't exist, we're just going to return an empty HTML here. Like that. And it's going to be let repo is equal to like that. So now we have a repository and a way to handle if that repository doesn't exist in state. Okay, on to the onClick handler. Let's start defining a new one here so we can kind of follow along with what exists, and we can modify it as needed. So this is going to change the global state, and it will depend on the ID as well. So let's use org dispatch dot reduce mute. This is going to be a callback. And I think this is where I think I missed something here, because we also need to preserve the last state of we need to preserve the state that it was before, so when we untoggle it, it goes back to the correct value. So how are we going to do that? Instead of just having one archive state here, we could do like a pubstruct toggle state, and that state can have on is going to be an archive state, and we'll have off is equal to archive state, and then we can have the toggle state passed in here. So now here, now we pass in the toggle state. What's this desired? We don't need this. We don't need this, I don't think. So now when we pass this in, we'll have, and let's rename this to toggle state. So now we have toggle state, and that will tell us when what states to turn on and what states to turn off. And I think repo ID is in scope already, and we don't have this on change event. Okay. So event. So we have this checked and unchecked. I think this is good. We'll take this. Checked. This is a Boolean probably. So if we'll just name this checked. If it's checked, but we also need to grab the so let repo is equal to state dot repositories.getMute. We will do if-let sum. So if there is a repo at this ID, if checked, toggle state on. Okay. Repo dot archive state, I believe it was called. We can double check that. And we can remove this now. And this is with, we have a mouse event here. Repo. This is going to be do repo dot archive states toggled on. Repo that. All right, now back to here. Does this, I think this is correct. I think this works. It's kind of hard to see when I'm getting weird errors. Not sure why that happens. I would like to not get errors. I think my thing's broken, unfortunately. Maybe it's the proc macros that are messing up my analyzer, but well. Okay, so to go through this again, we get a repo. If the repo doesn't exist, we return nothing. So we actually don't really need to use this check right here, because we would return nothing up here, but we're going to leave it because it's good to be extra safe and not unwrap. And this stuff we can unwrap because we're always going to be in a web context. This would probably only error if we were in like an unexpected environment. So that's fine. So if it's checked, we want to toggle the state on. If it's archived, or if it's not checked, we want to toggle the state off. Archives state. I believe it's archive state. Yep, archive state here. Okay. Cool. Think that covers the card. Let's see where we're broken. So in the paginator, this on checkbox change is no longer relevant. Oh, but in the repository list now, we need to use the toggle state. So this is now going to be toggle state, and it's going to use the toggle state struct, toggle state, and down here, toggle state there. And then now we can move this here. Repository card, yep, makes sense. Okay, now in the paginator, we got a whole lot of stuff to fix. Okay. So in 257, we have, this match is not here. Okay, what are we doing here? Load new page. What does that do? Okay, so this actually performs the request here. Get rid of these unused imports. So 255. So what function are we in? Repository paginator. So we're in the main component. We have a bunch of things that are happening here. I'm not sure. Okay, actually, we don't want to, now that I'm thinking about it, this will happen if, so this will run whenever we change the archive state of any of the repos because it's in the organization state now. So this will actually reset page number whenever state changes at all, and we do not want that. So yeah, I think what we're gonna do here is, so when we make a request, to get repositories, we update the organization name, we construct the collection of repositories, and we reset the paginator to start from 0. So those are the 3 things we need to do whenever we make a request. Now, if we make the request from anywhere besides inside the repository paginator, there is, we could pass in properties to propagate that change to tell it we need to reset the state, or we could move out of local state and use a store to hold the repository paginator's current or page state. So let's do that. All right. What does that look like? I think we're going to use U32s here. This is going to have to be clone, debug, partial equal, default, and store. And then it's going to be state dispatch is equal to paginator state. We'll remove this. Move this. Move these notes. So their paginator state. Okay, so we're actually going to do this somewhere else. We're not going to update the or reset the page number in this. So these are all debug logs. What are we doing here? So current page, if not has loaded, load new page. Okay, so the current flow of the app right now is every time we change to a new page, it makes the request for that page and loads it on demand. So every time you click the next button, it performs a request, it loads the page, you perform actions on it, and then it goes in and loads the next page. And that's nice, and it works. However, it's makes things kind of really messy because you have to go in and like check which pages are not loaded, which pages are loaded, and you got to make sure you're loading them correctly each time. And also, you need to um, kind of manage. It complicates your state management quite a bit. And the advantage of doing it this way is you don't have to perform the entire request at once, which is nice. That is nice. However, I'm not sure that trade-off of complicating state is worth the performance benefit. And there are also other options we can use to optimize performance if we do perform the request to load all of the repositories just to begin with. So I think what we're going to do actually is not perform this request at all in this component. So what's this make button callback? Page number. Story paginator state.set both state. What is this? Oh, this can just be where do we do that paginator state? Yeah. Okay, yeah. We'll just use this here. Like that. Okay. And yeah, so this is where kind of the majority of the cleaning up is going to be, because a lot of the requests was happening in this paginator component, and I want to yank or like pull out all of the requests and make this paginator component just about displaying the current state. We don't want to kind of perform any sort of requests. This is all going to be just how do we display the state of this organization to the user. Nothing else should be happening here. So let's make a callback button. This can actually be, I don't think that needs to be called. We can construct it from here. So what do we do here? We basically just set current page is the page number, last page. I'm not sure what this happens. Okay, so this is the previous. Oh, this is easy. Just previous. So this can be simplified, I think. So dispatch dot reduce mute so this is going to be a callback. We're going to take state what's the type here? Last page like that. So we step down one. That looks good. I think we need that. And we actually can delete that, delete that. And then current page, last page, and what we can actually do here is current page dot saturating sub wait, saturating decrement? Is that a thing? Saturating Does that look like a method that exists? So U32 saturating. No, it doesn't exist. So this is just going to be saturating sub 1. Actually, so instead of, maybe we don't need the last page. Maybe we don't need the last page. So what we're going to have is we're going to have a number of pages, a number of repositories. We need to split them into an even number of pages. So we actually just need the current page. We don't need really anything else. We just need to track what the current page is, I think. I could be wrong about this, and we might need to re-add that later. But I'm pretty sure that holds true. So we just subtract 1 from the page. And then next or review. So this is the question. How do we check what the last page is? How do we push? Okay, so we're going to actually take this and like save it for later, because we'll need to kind of review that later. But let's just define the next here. Next is actually just going to be this. That's going to be the next, and it's just going to be saturating add instead. So those are previous and next. Page map, I don't think we need that. And repo list. Repo list now only takes effect or repo IDs. Oh, okay. So in the repo list, we need to filter by we just need to filter by the archive state, I believe. So what are we doing here? So get repo IDs, I think I removed that function. So let's go look at it. So get repo. So it filters by the archive state. So what we can actually do is, instead of taking a list in a repository list, instead of taking a list or a vector of repo IDs, we can take the filter and we give it we want to give it the archive state. I believe we only give it one archive state because this is the repos we want to select. But let's look at the function. So get repo. Do page, maybe it was in here. Get, oh, this is the page number, I see. So they've split each repo by the page number. That makes sense. So in the repo list, we actually want to do IDs. Let's see. So here we'll actually display all of the archive states that we want to show in the list, because I believe this repository list is reused in several places, and we want to display the different repositories based on this archive state. So we're filtering by the archive state. We're also controlling how they're toggled with the archive state. That way, the components can kind of decide how to construct them, and we just tell the component what the state we're looking for. So now let's go to this archive state and add some helper methods. So we're gonna have this initial one. This is going to be let's just call it filter selected, and that is going to be, that's going to return a vector of self. And what we actually can do is we can make this a little more I don't know. Let's keep it simple for now. Let's keep it simple. Let's just return a vector. I was thinking to make a new filter type that holds these archive states and lets you kind of filter based on them, but I think let's just keep it simple. We want the filter, what do we want to call it? Select. Okay, so this is going to be the initial selection. So we want already archived, we want keep, and we want archive. So this is where we say we want to display that some repos are already archived. We want to display them if they're selected to keep, and we want to display them if they're selected to archive. We don't really care about this kept in review because that's not changed until the review stage, which is not there yet. So we're going to name also a filter review. These are the states we want to show in the filter review, and that's only archive and kept in review. So only the ones that we are archiving, or only the ones we've toggled back to keep kept in review, are the ones that we want to keep around here. So now when we go back to our paginator, I believe, we can say that the filter is archive state filter select. That's our filter there. And then in the repo list, this is going to be filter here. There we go. So now we have a filter, and now we need to update the list to use the filter instead of get rid of these debug logs. So let repo IDs. This is going to be actually just an iterator. So org.iter. So get the repositories. We filter based off of, yep, that looks right. So we get the repo. If the filter contains the archive state of the repo, we collect it. We grab the ID, and we actually don't need to collect here. We just want the iterator. And actually, so we want to check if it's empty. Do we? That is a good question. Hmm. Let's collect here. This is going to be a vector. And do we actually need to collect, figure out some way to handle an empty list? So the reason we want to avoid collection is it causes an extra allocation, and this is a performance cost. So it's a lot cheaper to just iterate over the iterator that we created directly. The problem is, in order to check... Oh, actually, what we can do, let's just do the optimization now. I think we can do this thing called peekable, and then do is empty is equal to repo IDs dot peek dot is none. So if the next one is none, there we go. Check if we have any repos to display. So if we don't have any repos to display, we'll display our empty message, or if it's not empty, then we will iterate over our collection. Looks good. Okay, so now we have that filter done. We have our repo IDs based on the filter. Let's go back to the paginator and look. Okay, this previous button class. So prev button class. This is going to be a dot page, and then so this is where we're tracking last page here, but page can just be state.page.saturating sub 1, and then this can be next for now. And then the next button class, let's just call that has loaded. Interesting. Let's just call that state.page. Let's comment that out for now, and let's just call this just do next here. So we'll handle this review and submit page in a bit, but for now let's just keep it. So as we can see, this whole component got a lot smaller. I mean, there's still some stuff we need to add to it, but now we have kind of this. As soon as we just changed it to only displaying the list, it got a lot smaller. So there's a few things we need to handle here, and that is to do That is the number of, because right now it's going to display all of the repos. We also need to tell the repository list um, the number of repositories to display. But let's get to that after we fix all these errors. So in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this load new page, handle parse error, parse last page. What does this do? So this gives us the how many pages there are. That's good. Okay, so what I want to do here is take, so we're in the paginator, which is in components. Let's go ahead and in the services, let's make this archive repos. Let's make one called load or get. Let's call it get repos.rs. Log get repos, and let's just move all of the paginator stuff over to the get repos. So everything that has to do with requests, over here. So link looks like this, link parse error stuff. That's over here. That's button class stuff. So this extract stuff, I think, goes here. Handle parse error, load new page should also be moved. Okay. So now let's remove all that, remove that, here, here, there, and there. Okay, yeah, that is there. What is this? Next button class. Just random stuff. Okay. Archives. This is actually repository. So why are we implementing? Oh, okay. So I see. So we're doing deserialize here. That is why. So let's call this. So we're deserializing these fields, and this field is not part of the request that is returned, or the data that is returned when we're deserializing. So we actually want to separate these kind of two sets of fields. So we are going to do what I initially talked about. Let's go to let's name this one repository info. So that is let's do, that is all of the info returned from GitHub, and then let's just name this one repository. This does not implement deserialize. It has this archive state in it, and it has this info, which is the repository info there. Okay, and then now info.id. Cool. Info.name. Review and submit. Okay, this also needs to be changed. We don't need this or this. Wait, in the paginator, don't we need to toggle state as well? Yeah, we're missing toggle state here. So the toggle state, so equals toggle state. And make sure these are public, they are. So toggle state, so on will be archive state archived. Off will be archive state keep. And this is going to be added here. So toggle state. There. What is this? Next button class loaded. Let's just make this true for now. I think we might be able to get rid of that function call. Okay. So review and submit. So now in review and submit, we don't need this archive state. What is this? Where is this on click used? Okay, so this is archive repositories thing. Okay, so that just prints out. We don't need to do that. So we need a filter. Tools archive state. Filter review. So this is going to be the review filter. Filter, and then we also need the toggle state. And this is archive state archive, and then this is archive state keep in review. Kept in review. And just make sure we have kept in review and archive. Okay. This is going to be toggle state there. And then this is nothing, I believe. We don't need that. Okay. We don't need that. Yep. So this just tells us how many to review. Okay. So now in the repository paginator, there's one thing we have left in the repository list. Actually, what's going on here? What's up? I don't believe you. Let infos equal to go IDs. I see. This can be toggle, and this is in, that's in the repository card, I believe. Yeah, toggle state. This could be copy. We can copy this. That can be copy. An archive state can also be copy, like that. So that should be fine now. Not sure why this is complaining. Oh, this is a reference. So we want to not make that a reference. We want to dereference it. Okay, that should work. So if we dump all this back into here, will it just... Oh, never mind. Let's keep it. And just name view. I like to name my HTML stuff view. Okay. So that looks right. Toggle state, repo ID. Now repository card. We have some stuff here that we need to resolve. Repo.info. .info. Same thing here. Okay, that's done. Now what's going on here? Type annotation. This should be, what was it? Components. It was in repository card. It was mouse event. Mouse events, like that. And repository list here. Needs to be mute. And repository card. Props. Toggle state, repo ID. Yeah, we can do that. Here. Going to main. What do we got? We don't need this. And okay, we have all that done. It's actually compiling. That's crazy. Oh, so in the paginator, I actually wrote that wrong. Paginator state.page c2 page 2. That needs to happen. And then we actually don't need the organization stuff here. That's cool. And only some unused reports. So we actually don't use this. Yeah, that makes sense. We don't need to clone here. Actually, we don't need to do any of that. And then we have Enrico list, unused log. and a repo ID. And in the paginator, we have unused organization. Cool. We have no warnings. Now, we have our state set up. Oh yeah. Okay, one more thing with state is we need to tell the repository list how many um, items to display at once. Um, and where to start actually as well. So let's just give it a start and an end actually. Let's do um, um, do let's just call a obstruct slice, and the slice is going to have a start. Actually, isn't there like a range thing? Range. Mounds. Resize. Can I do that? That's box dying. You know what? Let's ask the AIs. How do I specify a parameter that accepts a range of usize? That's not what I want. I need to accept a start and end. Can I use the built-in rest range type? So I want to like be able to specify a range. Okay, s2d ops range usize. Can I do that? D ops range usize. That seems to work. Okay, how do I use it? So iter dot skip range dot start range dot start. Ooh. Okay. So if we start at, yeah, we skip until the start. So if that's 10, we skip 10. And then we dot take end minus start. Okay, that's super simple. Really easy. We take only the ones that we need. We filter them for, actually, let's take after the filter because we want to display the ones that pass the filter. And if we take before the filter, we're going to filter out like 10. And if a couple filter out the 10, then we'll only display like 2 or something like that. Or if a couple filter out, then we'll only display 8. But we want to display as many as we can. So we want to take after the filter, and then that should be correct. Now, how do I use that? Let range, can I just do like that? Did that work? View and submit. Ah, okay, so this is going to be, so if we want to display all of them, we actually do need state here. So use let org equals use store value. This is going to be just the organization. And then this is going to be org dot repositories dot len. And then we need to go to this type. Pass through the len. There we go. So that's the range. And then in the paginator, we need to do so let's start. What if I do self? So we need to kind of go by 5. So 5, let's do 5 at a time. So let's do here, const increment should be 5. And then we'll add and subtract the increment here. Oops. Uh-oh. What did I do? There we go. Increment. Oops. Increment, please. Thank you. And then we'll start at saturating add increment. Yep. I think that's correct. Now, will this work is the question. So what might happen here is we might need to do one additional one after, but I'm not sure. So if we start at, so say we start at 0, we go to 0 to 5, they select next, we skip 5 because we incremented the start page by 5, so it starts. I think this works. I'm not completely sure, and I don't really want to do the math in my head, so we'll wait to see if it actually works. But now we should have a paginator that only displays a certain amount at a time. And then what I actually need to do here is yeah, we can fix that later. I'm pretty sure it's going to display the wrong page number. We need to like divide by increment or something. We can keep that for now. Okay. The last thing we need to do is fix this get repo stuff. So now we should have a bunch of errors here. Yep. Okay. Do we not have the parse error? Get repos. Let's see if we have it. So parse error. So this must be some other stuff. So let's look at what we're doing. Let's just get a feel for how we're doing stuff. So parse last page. It's going to be page number, sure. This is going to be URL. Sure. And that wasn't the page generator. What URL was so yeah, URL makes sense. Okay, and that fixes that. So handle parse error. Load new page. Okay. So we don't want the page map. We don't care about the desired state. We don't care about the current number. We don't care about that. Okay, load new page. We do want a dispatch, and that dispatch is going to be to the organization. So that's how we're going to change the organization. We're going to give it a dispatch, and it will send it. So how do we do this? Let's see. Link. Maybe I shouldn't be deleting these logging stuff. I'll just comment them out for now. Um no. New page up, no. No, no, no. No. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is actually just dispatch dot reduce mute move state to state dot repos. Oh, says that is actually just going to be, so we don't actually, it's not reduce, wait, is it? Yeah, this is organization, so this is going to be org.repositories equals repositories new repository results. Current page. So now how are we going to do this? We need to kind of keep making requests until we don't get any more um until we don't get any more requests. Until we don't get any more responses, actually. I think that's how we want to do it. So this is actually going to be load organization. And let's do load page. This is going to be current page, and it's going to return a vec of repository of, yeah, repository, like that. Something like that. Gonna be results box Stein error. Error. Hmm. How do we want to do this? Can I just do like yeah, just take an empty string? Failed to load. Okay, JSON. What was this before? Oh, this is okay. Believe. Oh, this is repository info. Different. Last page. So what we can, this is the last page. So what if we returned, oops, it's fine here. What if we returned to the last page here as well? This can actually doesn't have to be an unwrap. That can be propagation there. You get more unwraps. We don't need to unwrap this. Send. Okay, and then all of this can go away. And say let repos is equal to an empty vector. while let's okay that page 1. Let's see if GPT picks this up. While let what is this repos result? I don't know what this is doing. Okay. What's this last page? I'm not sure what this last page is doing. So when this is done, we need to do repos dot into iter dot map. So this is taking the repo info and we need to turn it into a full repo. So we need to do a repository info and then the archive state here. That's going to be actually if info.archived archive state, we want them to start as archive. We want them to start in the archive state. So we'll start there. And then that's the iterator, and then we just need to move it here. So over there. So what's parse? So parse int error, sure. Parse error. I'm assuming that's the string. Let's do this Fox-Stein error. Should be fine. Actually, no, let's do that. Oh, is it the URL parser? That could be it. URL parse. Let's make that clear though. If we're doing the URL parser, it's just not really sure. This is already archived there. This has to be mute. Hub. Okay, do we have okay, it's all there. All right, so we have the request done. When we call this, it'll spawn a task, it'll do a bunch of adding, and it will just work. It'll just load a bunch of repos and it'll put it into state. That's what we want. So now the final straw in the coffin, the nail in the coffin, I should say, is in this entry. during do. How do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? I think we can just do load organization. Oh, here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. I know what we're gonna do. So we're gonna do callback from this stuff. We're gonna turn this into here. We're going to dispatch dot reduce mute org like that. And then we need to. Actually, I don't think we do. I think we can do load organization. Load organization. Field contents. Dispatch. So when was it moved? So move it here. Do I have to clone it here? Yeah, it's I like that. Okay, so it's in the dispatch. So when we click it, if it's not empty, we set the organization name, and it resets the state, and it loads the organization. So I think we're ready to test. So let's see. Reset. Let's grab this that we used before, and let's watch it fail. Not found. That's a fav icon. Okay, repos. So network. Let's look at network. You send this, what do we get? Why is it looking there? Get repos here, here. Oh, do we have to set up something else? We might have to set up something else for this here. Let's look. Source. Services. Confused. How was this happening before? Components. Repository paginator. So was this calling some local service then? Shouldn't be, um, shouldn't we be using a base URL for GitHub? Here, let's see. Do they have, well, let's read the README. Maybe there's something in the README on how to set it up. Maybe. You. So it looks like we have the GitHub API here. What's the base URL? I see. GitHub.com. Like right there. So what if we just put that in here? I'm not sure. I'm unsure why that wasn't there in the first place, but let's see what happens. This was here. .404 not found. Let me make sure I'm typing this repo incorrectly, just to double check that. Oh, this is CSCI there. Uh-oh. Something's happening. Abort. We had a bunch of requests there, so that was happening. Ooh, we're not changing the page here. So what is last page? So if okay, here's what we're gonna do actually. We don't necessarily need this last page thing. We just do if the result is empty, then we break. And then what we can do is just increment the page by the max page count. Page 1. And then maybe the last page. Increment the page, perhaps? Maybe? Not sure. So actually, let's try it. Not really sure what the response looks like, so this might be wrong. But let's give it a go. Oh yeah, this is CSCI 2, 3. Okay, that seemed to work. Okay, so we have something here. Let's save this because that's what's it's the actual thing, not this here. So that's correct. So what happens if we change this number? Does it load? It does load. Okay, so this is messed up down here. That is messed up. And let's make sure we don't have left here. So it's lab 1. So do we get any lab 1s in this one? So lab 1 Alice. No. Lloyd is not here. Okay. Yeah, that looks completely fine. Cool. And if I do change the name again, there we go. Perfect. This is looking good. Okay. Now if I go to the previous, I uncheck a few. Next. Back. They're still unchecked. Next. Back. Still unchecked. Looking good. Boop, boop, boo. Boop. Okay, so there's a few things we have left. It's the review and submit button. Should be here. So this whole kind of component down here should be fixed because we need to display the correct numbers. And let us review the selected stuff. Oh, we're getting close. We're getting close. Okay. One thing we can do here though is to do instead of doing that, let's go here. Do down here. Go here, repos like that, and that, and then this, like so. And instead of replacing them, entirely, we can load them per. So we actually don't need this. We can do. Oh wait, let's do. Let's call this update, and then for repo in repos 12.0 dot insert the repository like that. Mute self, and you don't need this. You don't need this. And dot repositories dot date. Okay. And what that should do is now we'll start loading the page. We'll start loading the page every time. Well, we'll start loading the page sooner. So if we go here, it should start loading right away instead of waiting for the entire thing to be done. We should be getting stuff right away. So yeah, and it will increase as the. So we can go past here. It's not good. So we need to make sure we can't go past the max amount. Yeah, but seems that's tracking pretty well. Okay. So we have that. That works. We don't infinitely request either, so that's good. This can be U platform spawn local. Slight adjustment there. We don't need this last page thing. So this actually can go away. That can go away. That can go away. And yeah. Cool. This parse last page actually can go away now that we're not using it. And that can go away. Handle parser. I don't think we need any of this. URL and that. Cool. Now, in the paginator, do so this is actually going to be page divided by increment, and this is going to be we need the total or is equal to use store value organization total repos like that, and then it's going to be the current one divided by the total repos divided by increment as well. So let's see if that fixed it. Out of 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that looks right. Okay. And then we need to make sure that we can't go past let max pages is equal to that. We can rename this to max pages, and then the next dot min max pages. So now, if we do this, what? Wait, is that? Oh, that was the previous one. No, I want it here. I want it on the next button, not the previous button. Okay. Let's see. Boop. Doo doo. What? Excuse me? Next. So, previous. Something's messed up. Next. Next. 1 out of 9. That should be 2 out of 9. So max pages is 9. Oh. Oh, times increment. So because this is already divided by increment, so we need to multiply it by increment again, I think. Think that makes sense? So now, yeah, now we can't do any more. What? Okay, so we need to start at +1 and +1. So that will make it, so it looks like the logic is, oh, actually, well, maybe not. Okay, well, this works. 1 out of 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we can't go past it. And previous is, oh, what? What? Why is it disabled at 2? It should be disabled at 1. So what's the previous button class? Prev button class. Oh. This is -1. I think. Let's try it. What's going on? Oh. Oh. Ooh. Yeah, we got some minor problems here. Okay, so 1. Okay, what's happening here? So if on the first page, sort page is gonna be 0. So 0 divided by something is 0. Oh, this should be +1, not -1. What am I thinking? Okay, let's try that. Okay, that's a 10. 9 since size 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 1 is disabled here. It's 1 out of 10. Looking good. Cool. So that's done. Now we just need the review and submit. So let next button is equal to if like that, this is going to be HTML, and this is going to be HTML. Do down this and this. Whoops, this. Something like that. And then that. And let's move these to above here. And this is going to be on click now. And this is going to be this is where we take the history or the navigator and call back here. Out. Use navigator. Like that. Does that work? Let's try it. So you go through all these, review and submit. Okay, if I check, uncheck, that looks good. Intro. Where's this intro get everyone? Where I won't find it. What the heck? Intro to get everyone. Where is this? That's weird. We're not seeing that one in our state here. Intro to get. If I unselect everything. So that's a weird one. So if we unselect them here, we don't see them here. I see. So that's because in our archive state, in our repository archive state, we unfilter the ones that have been selected. So we just need to do, and this one should also be kept in review. So we do all of the filters here. We do all of the states we want to see. And then in the filter review, we just do the 2 states here. And that should fix that problem. So now, oh, okay, so here's the intro to get everyone. I unselect it. I go to the end. Okay, it's not going to be there. Actually, it needs to be selected first. So select it first, go to the end, submit, unselect it, go back, and here it is. Here's the unselected one. Okay, that was a weird bug, but yeah, that's because we were filtering it out actually in here. And we didn't want to do that. So that is looking really good. I think we have everything working. We can just double check. When we select things and move them around, they appear and disappear. All the state is being kept around and reused, which is nice. When we change the name, so if I go 0 there and submit, it should. So that's 230224, and we're on 22. So 230224, 2201. Okay, so that is a difference. It's just named the same. Yeah, I see. But that does update them. So we have a way to update state. Everything is working here. We have the correct number of pages. We can increase the number per page if we want to. One thing I am thinking of though, in the get repos here, this right here is cloning the repositories every time, which could be undesired. It might be better to just wait for them all to load before putting them into state. That would minimize the amount of cloning, definitely. But I think the total number of repos that you want to archive is like low enough, and it will never be high enough to cause like problems, to cause like slowdowns. At least that's what I'm thinking. But this could easily just be put outside of this loop and just done at the end like we were doing before we added it here. But doing it this way just lets us like see things faster. We get to see things right when the first request finishes, and that's nice. All right, I think that is all we're gonna do today. However, there is still we did miss something here. Like when we change the number, the paginator is still the same. So what we can do actually is in the entry form, we can do this is going to be the org dispatch. Let paginator dispatch. This is going to be components repository paginator state, like that. Pub struct state, pub page number. So one we can just do right here, we can set the org and then dot page equal to 1. And let's actually make that private because you can kind of screw it up if you set it to the wrong number. So let's just do that and then set page 0. Let's just actually call this reset. And constraints at 0. Reset. It's not red. Okay, so we have the reset that is called on the click, so we reset it. So reset organization, reset the paginator, and load the organization. So now do this, and we go to the next, go to like in the middle of the paginator, and then change the organization name. It should, yeah, reset back to 1. Perfect. That's what we want. Okay. That's looking good. Let's look at what we did. We changed a lot. We changed it a lot. So git add here. A bunch of refactoring. I mean, the main thing was kind of condensing state into these 3 types or 4 types or something like that. And kind of just like slightly adjusting how we inform the child components on how to access that state. So those were kind of the major things. We also moved all of the request kind of handling outside of the paginator, and made the paginator just in charge of displaying the list of repositories instead of like trying to manage all the other state kind of involved with that as well. You can see here now it just gets a bunch of state and kind of there's very little else going on. So we don't need here. It's just a bunch of variables. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to create a pull request. I'm not expecting this pull request to be merged at all. I want to make it so it's kind of visible as like a lesson. I'll post a link to this video as well. So it is available for anybody who wants to learn how to use Yewdux. Yeah, that is how I my best approximation of the correct way to use global state management, and it's to keep things as simple as possible. Keep things. It's good to like break out your state into multiple kind of islands as long as they're not related. So we did that with the paginator because the paginator didn't really care about the current state of the organization. It was kind of like a separately managed thing, so we kind of managed it separately. We did reset it. I mean, you could argue that it is tied to organization state because when we reset organization state, we reset the paginator. But I think we came up with a fine solution. It's okay living by itself. Hello, sir. So how do I set the... I don't know how to... how do I set my repo to use a new origin? Get remote set URL. Cool. So now we have this Yewdux refactor branch. I'm going to merge it into refactor Yewdux state management. All right. I think I'm going to end the video here. We may come back. I did notice that the OAuth needs work. I'm not really familiar with the OAuth flow. I have a few videos left in this series to go through. I'll leave those linked in the description of this video so you can view them at your pleasure. But Yeah, we may come back with another video to try to get the OAuth working. Uh, that could be um, another video here. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if it is something that I choose to do. It's not as interesting, but I feel like this project is so close that it might just be worth finishing that off. We'll see what happens. Okay. Thanks for watching. Yeah, check out Nick Maffei. Does a lot of really cool stuff on Rust. Does some uh, kind of all sorts of different projects on Rust. So check him out on the Twitch account. I'll link that as well. And thanks for watching.